Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I am Mr. Warren Hayes, and this is the Hell in a Cell prediction show. This is the reason why most of us who do wrestling commentary in any shape or form on the internet, this is the reason why we do it, because we love goddamn predictions, man. And we love them so much that we can't contain ourselves into one single medium, right? You know, you can write about it, but then you also want to talk about it. And that's why I have a guest who usually writes about wrestling, but who accepted to come on the show today. And that guest is Kristen Ashly. How you doing, Kristen?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Kristen, I actually met Kristen during our tenure at the fan-sided, at Daily DDT over on the fan-sided network. That's how we got to start chatting with each other. We both wrote articles there. Kristen still does. And for the very small amount of people, the insignificant number of individuals out there who don't know who you are.
Right.
Why don't you tell us about what you do?
That was a good sell.
Thank you. I'll put you over.
So I'm a writer. I usually don't do this kind of stuff. It'll be really obvious by the end of this that I don't do this kind of stuff. I write, like you said, for Daily DDT. I also write for Fightful, which I believe Mr. Hayes also does as well.
Never heard of him.
Right? Who?
Who?
And also like a slew of other sites that are not wrestling related. So I'm kind of all over the board.
Yeah, because you like sports.
Yes, I do.
As opposed to me, where I don't I like fake sports, but real sports I don't get.
What are fake sports?
Well, like wrestling.
Well, I mean,
scripted sports.
Okay, there we go.
But then maybe I should like soccer then.
Oh, that's a good one. I don't like soccer, so I actually kind
of watch the World Cup.
Yeah.
Because
right.
I have a bunch of European friends here, and they sort of get me hype about it, regardless. There's a lot of people, I have some Belgian friends that live in the city, some people from France, and they get naturally hyped for it. So I'm like, oh, okay, since I have no personality, I just go with the flow.
It's like people that just watch the NBA Finals. Right. And not the 400 games during the regular season.
And just like people who watch the Super Bowl because it's a spectacle, kind of thing. It's,
right.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No. I mean, kind of, but no. I'm just kidding.
Anyway, Kristen, I'm really glad you're here because it's a lot more entertaining, a lot more fun to be able to do the prediction show with someone and chat about it. That's always a lot of fun. And because, I do a lot of screaming out into the void. We were talking about this before coming on air. I talk to myself quite a bit. You might actually be seeing this on the internet. And if you haven't found my YouTube channel, you can find it at tinyurl.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. You can also follow me at Mr. Warren Hayes. You have, but you have right at the bottom here my credentials. You have Kristen's credentials over there. You can follow her on Twitter at Kristen Ashly. So yeah. So there's a lot of videos that I do on YouTube, a lot of videos that I do over at Fightful.com as well. Actually, let's be more specific here. I do videos for the premium subscriber service at Fightful.com.
Oh.
Yes, called Fightful.
The elite?
Exactly. I do it for the 1%.
Right. Exactly 1%.
I do a bunch of videos over at FightfulSelect.com. I do a weekly 205 Live NXT recap show, and these days I've been sprinkling in some Mae Young Classic on top of that, so that's a fun show. I do that every Wednesday, and once a month, Sean Ross Sapp, the managing editor over there at Fightful Select, he and we do a retro pay-per-view review. So we go back into the vault, we pull out a pay-per-view, we take a look at it, and then we talk about it, see if it holds up, talk about history, anecdotes, stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. We did SummerSlam 1992 recently, TNA Unbreakable, and we are about to get ready to do ECW One Night Stand 2006. Did you watch that one, Kristen?
No,
Ah,
no.
it's a good
I
show.
wasn't actually a wrestling fan back in 2006. I'm actually still pretty new with wrestling, believe it or not. For the longest time, I had like the casual hater stance of, oh, it's fake. And my family forced me to watch a pay-per-view, and I fell in love with Dean Ambrose, and then I fell in love with wrestling. So yeah, 2006, definitely not.
what was the pay-per-view? What broke you or converted you? Depending on what on what you want to call it.
I honestly can't even remember which one it was, but it was like 2014, so it was a few years ago.
And there was Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, Dean Ambrose. That was the one that broke it for me.
He wasn't champ at that point, right?
No, he was not. Just a lunatic.
Just a lunatic.
Just a lunatic.
All right. Anyway, so we'll be doing that. But hey, you know what? Let's just dive right in. Hell in a Cell. 8 matches announced on the card. I find it surprisingly refreshing on behalf of WWE. They haven't even announced anything for the pre-show. I'm okay with that. Like, I feel good about an 8-match pay-per-view instead of them trying to cram like 10 matches into there. What do you think about the layout for this Sunday?
Yeah, because I know when I like look at certain like SummerSlam or certain ones that have a ton of matches, my first thought is which ones are going to be 2 minutes long. Yeah. And like I know there's value to that, but as someone who's like dedicated to watching the whole pay-per-view and sits down and makes the whole day out of it, I want to have like longer, entertaining matches. So I'd rather have like a fewer that are going to be good and long than like 60 that are going to be like 30 seconds. So
right, exactly. Instead of having like Finn Balor versus Baron Corbin that ends in a squash, or Jeff Hardy versus Shinsuke Nakamura, which was at what pay-per-view was it at? It wasn't at SummerSlam. It was at Money in the Bank.
Sounds right.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in complete agreement with you. I understand that sometimes some matches are best kept short, but it also feels good to just let the matches breathe, let people do stuff.
Right.
It doesn't always have to feel like a Monday night every pay-per-view, you know?
Right. Exactly.
So nothing on the pre-show except maybe Coach.
Why? No. Why? Okay, I haven't really looked into, like, I'll be completely 100% honest, because I'm so excited Renee is on the team.
Yeah.
What is going on with Coach?
Well, that's the thing. He's taken her spot as the host of the pre-shows.
So they switched spots?
Yeah, basically.
That's terrible. Like,
can you imagine? We are going to think about this, Kristen. We are going to get Coach and David Otunga at the same time.
Like, oh man,
I'm already excited.
I don't know. I knew a little bit of Coach stuff when he was at ESPN, but like I really don't think, as far as scripted, like keeping a show going, like a panel, I don't think that's going to be his thing.
I don't think
it's going to be really entertaining to watch. I'm really excited for that, actually.
It's one of these train wrecks, right? One of these things where you're just going to cringe the whole week and just can't stop watching.
And can I say why are we taking that from Renee, right? Like, super awesome that she's on Raw commentary. Like, yeah. But then why do you have to take anything from her? Can't she just be the face of WWE for everything?
Well, sure, but then again, like, you don't want to overexpose her either, right?
I mean, I am all for exposing all the women in sports. Like,
wait, what?
Bad.
What
that sounds really.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll let you rephrase that. Say that again.
Like, I'm all for like women in sports being in every position they can be, because
what?
As
What's going on?
Oh, you have a dirty mind, sir.
Nah, hey, it's coming out of your mouth, lady.
Oh, I'm
All right.
sure you know what I mean. What I'm saying is just give Renee all of it.
We're gonna give Renee all the jobs.
Yeah, all the jobs. She can do all of it.
Oh, for sure.
She might get tired running back and forth, but I think she can do it.
Well, look, if Corey Graves can do it, she can do it too, right?
Right, exactly. She can easily do it.
And I know this is supposed to be the prediction show, and we're talking about Renee Young, we're talking about Raw, but it's fun to be able to talk to you about it. What I'm most excited about the 3-person commentary table on Raw right now is that Graves and Renee are like legit friends. They get along really, really well.
Right.
Corey will definitely carry her. He will not do like he was doing with Coach over the past 2 weeks, where if Coach messed something up, he just torch him live. Right. He'll be perhaps a little more delicate. He'll carry her up to par, and the chemistry that they have naturally will just come across very, very easily. Michael Cole in the middle of that, he gets along really great with Corey. He's a pro, like, regardless of what we think and his commentary style, he's still, God damn it, he's been doing it for over 20 years. He knows what he's doing at this point. He's going to be able to mesh really well within this. I think we finally got a really good trio dynamic on WWE TV.
Yeah. I kind of get the feeling that Renee Young is probably friends with like everybody, because I always see her like in interviews talking about how she goes to lunch with this person and how she's really good. I think she's probably friends with everyone. But
sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. But what's great about that is that like Renee is such a natural babyface commentator, and Graves does a really good job of making my skin crawl as a heel commentator. So the two of them together, and you're right, Graves can carry her like you are carrying me on a podcast, because I don't do that. And so that's natural. And honestly, I really like Michael Cole. Now, I know a lot of people say he is a million times better when Vince isn't in his ear. And I agree with that. But like, I always find Michael Cole like really like stabilizing and really knowledgeable. And there's never any like weird mess ups with Cole. Like he's always just like, I mean, you can always rely on him.
The problem with Michael Cole is not his professionalism or the fact that he can communicate poorly. That's not the problem. It's what he gets fed. It's the irritating words or things that he has to push over and over again. And like you said, when he doesn't have Vinnie Mac in his ear, as we're seeing right now in the Mae Young Classic, he's so much more tolerable and bearable. And you're like, he does a great job. And you can just remember the great job that he did at the UK tournament last year.
Yeah.
He was surprisingly good. And then, but there's just something that happens when Vince starts screaming into his ear. Anyway. And yes, and just to finish up your point, yes, I also do think that Renee is friends with everyone backstage, because just the number of people, of WWE wrestlers tweeting out to her, congratulating her on it was last Monday. Everyone did it.
Yeah.
You could actually pinpoint the people who didn't. It was like much easier.
Right.
All right, let's get into it. We're going to get our predictions. You have your notes ready?
I have my notes.
You have notes?
Okay, listen. I wish I could have a soundbite of the very first podcast I did. It was on horror movies. Okay. And I am a horror fanatic. That's my niche. And it was so bad because I didn't do any research and I didn't have any notes, and it was terrible. It was really bad. So yes, I have notes. Correct.
That's fine. I'm kidding because I have notes as well.
Okay.
She can't see me right now. By the way, the Conjuring universe, good or bad?
I love the Conjuring universe. I love everything that James Wan does.
Okay.
I will say briefly that The Nun was sort of disappointing. It felt like it took 20 minutes to put together and that they didn't really think it through all the way. So I'm patiently waiting for a follow-up to that movie because I feel like it just collapsed.
All right.
Like I was having a crisis about it.
I'm gonna have to
Like
get. Sorry, go. I'm gonna have to get into the Conjuring movies because I haven't seen a single one.
What?
And I just realized, and it was when I was hearing the trailers for The Nun, and they were talking about it's part of the Conjuring universe. I'm like, what? There's a universe like the
You
DCU?
haven't seen,
No,
you haven't seen any of the Conjurings?
no,
None of that.
no.
Not Annabelle or.
I think
Wow.
the last horror movie I saw was Get Out. That was the last
Well,
one
that's
I'd seen.
still. I mean, but the Conjuring's like before then. That's all like way before then.
Yeah, but that's the last one I saw. Before that, I think it was The Babadook, which are two great movies.
Honestly, those are two very good selections.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm very picky when it comes to my horror.
Oh, I'm not. I just like all of it.
Just like, unlike wrestling, where we are very picky.
Yes.
And we're gonna start talking about it right now.
Yes,
we're gonna start talking
sorry.
about I'm dragging you out. I'm talking about horror. That wasn't in my notes. See, I'm more or less prepared.
You're ADD.
There you go. All right, let's kick it off. We're gonna start with the first match that's advertised on WWE.com. The New Day SmackDown Tag Team Champions will defend against, holy shit, Rusev and Aiden English. I'm going to be honest with you. I did not expect to see Rusev Day winning the match on SmackDown and going over to the pay-per-view. I really thought the Bar was going to win.
Yeah, well, yes. Only because the Bar has been, like, sporadic. Like, they're not around a lot lately. But I also felt like Rusev and Aiden English, like, it makes the match fun. Mm-hmm. And I don't know I doubt it's WWE's like intentions, but they've been building on Rusev Day and Lana Day so much that like I was surprised they won it, but really not that surprised. Like I feel like finally they're giving Rusev that push, you know?
Yeah. And the thing that I find interesting here is that they have probably two of the most fun acts like on SmackDown. Like I'm talking about not necessarily wrestling, like acts that are put together and that are always enjoyable, that are fun with the audience, regardless of what happens when the New Day comes out. You know, the New Day, I have a mantra. My mantra is never break up the New Day, because just when you start feeling like, man, we've seen all of this before, they just start being magic again. And they always seem fresh every time they're on the mic. It's never really stale. Not that they don't have slip-ups. Let's remember, do we have to remind ourselves of the old day segment? Maybe not. But, you know, it does happen. Missteps happen to everyone. But in general, overall, I mean, never break up the New Day. And then Rusev Day, they come out. Everyone's already into this. It was an organic build.
Yes.
And what I find doubly interesting here is that they're going all in on Rusev Day being baby faces at this point as well.
Right. And that's what's confusing here, because they are two acts that are incredibly well liked. Mm-hmm. And the chemistry within each act is incredibly strong. And they always bring the funny, and they get great reactions from the crowd. I remember, you know, just when you think New Day is just like all funny and no serious, they had a promo where they were on stage and they were talking smack to the Usos. And it was one of those where Big E was just doing burn after burn after burn and getting real serious about how passionate they were about their jobs in wrestling and how they wanted to be the best. And they're just amazing. Both acts are amazing.
Yes.
What's interesting, I think, about this particular match is that as far as I can remember, there's no real animosity between these two. There's no big like feuds that have happened. In fact, there's been times where the New Day has sort of backed Rusev. So it's probably gonna be really entertaining and funny. But there's no real heel in this situation.
No, that's it.
Right, and there's no real like, you know, I'm gonna get you about this situation either. So I think it's gonna just be a really fun match, regardless.
I think so. Yeah. I know that a lot of the scuttlebutt, a lot of people are expecting Aiden English to turn on Rusev, but I hope not, because right now what they have established, with Aiden taking the bullets, for Rusev, like actually, like he ate the bro kick last week, and the week before the week before he messed up Eric Young from hitting his finisher on Rusev, right? To actually go forward, or maybe it was the week before. I don't remember the timeline exactly, but like Aiden English suddenly becoming Rusev's best friend. It is such a good dynamic. That'd be so much fun. Like if the team keeps going forward, Aiden English is the reason why they're just getting by, in these super desperate moments. Aiden puts himself on the line so that Rusev can finish them off. That'd be fantastic. I think it'd be a lot of fun if they maintain it. I don't see a turn. I actually, if we talk predictions here. By the way, we haven't shared our predictions, folks. We're going in completely blind. Kristen, I haven't seen Kristen's notes and vice versa because I don't have notes. I actually think Rusev Day is going to win the SmackDown Tag Team Champions because the New Day winning them was a fluke because the Bludgeon Brothers, because of Eric Rowan's injury. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to be a transitional champion over here. And if they don't win, I think they're going to extend the program. And Rusev Day is eventually going to take the titles off of them. But I really, really see Rusev Day winning. It makes sense to me. What do you think?
Okay. Well, I actually think New Day is going to retain. And
what?
Yeah, I know. And my reasoning is that I with all everyone saying that there's going to be tension between Rusev and English, I think that's probably likely. Like knowing WWE and how they write, I think, especially if English is taking all these shots for Rusev, I feel like at some point, it may not be at the pay-per-view, but at some point that's going to build some tension. And I think the easiest way to keep that storyline possibly going is that they don't have the titles. Mm. So I think if New Day retains, that's going to build that tension. And then down the line, we'll see what happens, whether they split up or they stay together. But my prediction is that New Day retains just because they're New Day and they usually do retain.
I think it's and I am going against the grain a little bit of WWE's tendency to not take away a title on a first big defense,
Right.
But see, I think that the Aiden English eating finishers for Rusev kind of thing, that gimmick that they're building to, I think it'd be a perfect place right here to cement that. It's like Aiden English is the reason why they're going forward, because he's just ready to sacrifice himself so that Rusev can get his moment, and he's along for the ride kind of thing. But we'll see, right? We'll see. Right. So I think Rusev Day is going to win. You think New Day? We'll see what happens on Sunday. But we'll move along to the next match that we'll talk about, which is the other Tag Team Championship match. Mm-hmm. Dolph Ziggler and my boy Drew McIntyre, the Raw Tag Team Champions, taking on Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose of the Shield, I think they're called.
I believe so. Sounds right.
Chat me up. What do you think? How has this feud been treating you?
I think it's good that Ziggler is in the game. I know they had some issues with. It felt like they had issues with what are we doing with Ziggler, and he had these weird like stealing everybody's intros, and I don't know what they were doing with him for a while.
That was bad.
And they found, it was really bad. And they found Drew McIntyre, who is scary, and who is a good wrestler, and so
and he's handsome.
Sure.
I legitimately believe that, though.
They're all handsome to me. I don't want any, in the rare chance anybody who professionally wrestles listens to this. You're all handsome and beautiful to me.
All handsome.
So I think that team Ziggler can wrestle the shit out of things. So I think that's a really good pairing. Ambrose and Rollins are two of my favorite people in WWE. So that's always gold. I mean, that relationship is super organic and awesome. My thought on this is that, first off, I find it really weird that the Intercontinental Championship is not being defended. I don't know why that isn't. But I do expect a good match. I think, honestly, there's more in the future for Ambrose and Rollins than the tag teams. And so my prediction is that Ziggler and McIntyre retain. I think that WWE, like, Ambrose is finally back. I think they have bigger plans for the two of them, especially since, Seth holds the title. So I just think that this is going to be one of those situations where Ziggler and McIntyre do their little dance, and maybe we'll get some people coming out to help them. Who knows? But I think they're going to retain.
I'm very torn
Yeah.
on this. Yeah. I think, look, it can go so many ways, but right now I feel like and it's odd because maybe this is going to come out of left field a little bit, but I think right now there's a tag team on the Raw roster who are called the Revival, who are waiting in the wings.
Yes.
We haven't seen them for 2 weeks now, ever since they got punked by Drew and Dolph. And I think, see, when the B team lost, immediately the first thing that came to my mind is like, oh, well, fantastic. It will be much more credible for the Revival to beat Dolph and Drew than beating the B team for their first main roster titles, right? It'll be much more meaningful.
Right.
So they've obviously kept them off TV because there was it just wouldn't have fit into any storyline that they were developing on Raw. And I believe that after this, I think the Revival are going to pop their head up and going to be like, hey, we're over here. We want our tag team titles. So it makes sense for Dolph and Drew to retain so that the Revival can get back at them. And I would entirely see the Shield actually getting involved in this match to cost the titles for Dolph and Drew.
Right.
So that the Revival will win to continue this feud. The Shield feud, because regardless, we'll talk about this a little later, but I don't think that this little faction feud that's going on right now, I think they're going to carry this into Survivor Series personally. So if I try to use a crystal ball and see what WWE may have planned or the way I'd see them plan it, I think Dolph and Drew retain. But I would not put it past WWE booking to put all the titles on the Shield because, after all, as we saw on WWE.com recently, the Shield is the #1 wrestling faction of all time.
Clearly.
So why not just give them all the belts? That's how you know you're the best, is if you have all the belts. So in that perspective, it would also make sense to me if they did that. So my bold prediction would be the Shield wins, but my real prediction, I'm going to agree with you. I think Dolph and Drew retain.
Right. Yeah, I think, honestly, at least to me, both shows their tag team divisions are in such weird places. I personally loved the B team. I thought they were hilarious. I loved when they were mocking Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy. I thought that was the funniest thing ever. But they're both sort of in this weird limbo where, like, it's sort of like afterthoughts for creative. Like, we got other things to worry about, so we'll just, like, sort of throw bones to the tag teams. Because it sort of feels like they got all these brand new tag teams coming in, and everyone's all over the place. and then like you said, like the revival will show up, but then they disappear, and Ambrose is back, so we got to find a place for him. It's like in this weird spot. It probably could go either way, but I agree. I think Ziggler and McIntyre are gonna probably do something slimy.
I think
And
so
prob-
too. I agree.
Retain. Yeah.
Third match that we're going to talk about is one that has many people involved. Daniel Bryan and his lovely wife Brie Bella versus The Miz and his lovely wife Maurice. And you know, like I'm French Canadian, right? And so is Maurice.
Yeah.
So I always have a tendency to call her, because it's a very French Canadian name, you'd say Maryse. That's how. So I always like have to take a pause, because if I say Maryse, no one's gonna know who I'm talking about. You know, it's Maurice. Anyway, that was a weird segue. I feel like I feel like this feud has lost momentum a little bit. I thought they were doing a good job with Miz and Daniel Bryan. They have their SummerSlam match, fine. I was actually wondering what they were going to do next, to stretch it out, because I think there is money in stretching out a good old-fashioned blood feud. They tossed in the ladies and was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. I was captivated. I thought they did an interesting job at creating a situation where you'd still continue the feud without having necessarily the two main proponents or the two main antagonists bash on each other constantly. And it got, it had a way to get personal as well, to move along with these two with the women involved. But and as much as the initial beatdown that the Miz and Maurice put on Brie and Daniel Bryan was cool, and I thought it was really interesting, I felt like it all sort of got very, very sloppy, very iffy. It felt like it was just cold showers week after week from this point on. And at this moment, I'm kind of like, well, let's just get it over with so that Daniel Bryan and Miz can start beating on each other again,
Right.
That's kind of what I thought.
Sorry.
I don't know what you think.
No.
Do you want to tell us what you think? Do you want to tell us?
Sorry. Yeah, I think you're right.
Of course.
Of course. Okay, calm down. I think the fact that Brie and Maurice are back in is super cool. Everyone's talked about it. They're just had babies like months ago. Like if I don't have more than like 20 hours of sleep, I can't go for a walk. So I think it's super cool that they are in and back on it and looking really good. I'll be honest, I haven't followed this feud with the four of them very, very much. The Bryan and Miz feud, super, super interesting and super cool. I think they're both really good wrestlers and they have good chemistry together. And I think the idea of the ladies getting involved was good, but I don't think that it's like working. The couple matches that I did see, I kind of just changed the channel because it was a lot of like, oh, I'm going to get in the ring. No, I'm not going to get in the ring. Oh, they're dragging out this like idea of Miz and Maurice being cowards. And we all know that the Miz is sneaky. I mean, that's his MO, but I feel like they could do so much more with this feud if they actually had the women fighting more instead of just mic stuff.
But then look, I'm gonna throw something out there. Like they had the main event, right? That they had them both in the main event on SmackDown. That's how we left the go home show, right?
Right.
With Maurice and Brie Bella in the ring, and as you said, let's underscore this heavily. Maurice gave birth 5 months ago. Brie is like 18 months, maybe 2 years ago. Something like that. I mean, that's remarkable in and about itself. All right. That's commitment. That's passion, that's drive, whatever you want to call it, and they do deserve the accolades for doing that. But see, you just said it yourself. I would have liked to see them wrestle more. They had a match. Or at least they had the opportunity to give us a match. What we got was anything but a match. It was shenanigan-apalooza. And nothing happened. And this actually should have been the moment where Brie and Maurice should have gone at it to give us the taste of what's going to happen in the ring, right?
Right.
At Hell in a Cell. If both ladies get in there and they go, you're like, oh, all right. So not only Daniel Bryan and Miz are going to go at it and it's going to be nuts. Look at these two go, kind of thing. But, oh, man, it just feels like a whole bunch of ring rust, oxidizing together and just making like a big hard ball of, ugh. Hey, I have zero confidence right now in the women going at it. And again, and I don't want to be disparaging because I know that they carried the Divas division for a couple of years, but we're not used to Diva wrestling anymore.
Right.
Right. It's what was passable back then has been shaken down, spun around. It's like, no. This, we have Ember Moon, we have Charlotte and Becky and Asuka when they want to give her room for her to be Asuka,
Right.
We have these, and even Sasha and Bayley, we've all seen them in NXT. We know what they can do. That's what we're used to now. So, I don't know what to expect as far as this match goes. Hopefully, I don't know, they'll play off the strengths more than say, yes, let's give them wrestling time. You know what I mean?
Right. I guess the only way that this could be worth my time and not just a popcorn break would be if either at the pay-per-view or building up to somewhere down the road that there's this sort of backlash or tension between Miz and Maurice. And I think with seeing that match this week on SmackDown and how Miz kind of was just almost throwing her to the dogs, go, get up there, kind of just telling her go, and she kept backing off. That's the only way I could see this even being worth our time as a feud.
That would be interesting.
Is if the two of them had some sort of tension going on.
It was kind of like when they were supposedly breaking up, and Miz was trying to win her back with gifts.
Right.
And it was Dean Ambrose, right? That was messing everything up.
Yes, that was a really good bit. Yeah, and we've seen it a million times with all sorts of different wrestlers, with Lana and Rusev, and so I feel like that could make it really interesting. I honestly doubt that it will happen at least at this pay-per-view, but that would make it worth it. I think this is just kind of gonna fizzle. My prediction is that Daniel and Brie are going to win just because Miz and Maurice probably will just run away. I think the cowards are going to be cowards, and that's my prediction.
Yes, and I agree with your prediction, and I'll go even as far as to say that it's going to finish with double yes locks.
Yeah.
That's
I
my
hope so,
prediction.
actually.
That'd
be cool.
Yeah, no, it'll be a cool visual for the ending, and I think I think that's how it's going to finish. I agree. Next match. No, we just talked about that match. I pulled out the wrong visual.
Yeah.
I'm prepared. Next match we're going to talk about is Charlotte Flair, SmackDown Women's Champion, taking on Becky Lynch. Kristen, I know you hate Becky Lynch, right? You're one of these people.
What?
You're one of these people who despise her. I know you.
You are being so sarcastic right now.
Am I?
Don't put that in the universe. I do not hate Becky Lynch. Ginger, stick together. Ginger snaps. Yep, we stick together. No, I love both of them, right? I actually love all women wrestlers just for what they stand for, but I happen to love both of these. Even when Charlotte is heel, full heel mode, love Charlotte full heel mode. She does so much.
I especially like Charlotte in heel mode.
Yes, like
Flares are
way more
heels,
than
man. Flares are heels.
right. And she's so good at it because she is so like, she's just got, the genes. I mean, she's
Hmm.
just like physically way better than anybody I know. So like, she can play heel really well.
Yep.
This match is exciting. I wouldn't actually wouldn't actually say it's gonna be my match of the night. But I'm excited to see the two in a cell. And
Is it going to be in a
I
cell?
I thought it was. I thought I read somewhere that it was. Maybe I'm
Keep
wrong.
keep talking. I'll double check.
Okay. Yeah, look that up. Prove me wrong, because you probably will. It would be cool if they were though. I think generally this is going to be the most anticipated fight. It may not be the fight of the night, but it's definitely the most anticipated, simply because we have no idea, and WWE has no idea what WWE is doing. To force, they've been really bad about forcing turns lately, and you have Becky, who is, I've written articles about her. She's
Hmm.
a natural face. She's a natural baby face. She has this built-in story, real life stuff that WWE has not even touched, and she's an inspiration. And then you have Charlotte, who had the most championships when she was a heel, who did the most for herself as a heel. And then you're trying to force these turns and trying to like change the waves. And I think at first they did it and not realize the backlash it was going to cause. And now I think they're just like leaning into it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look how much attention we're getting. Oh, look how great we're being, alternative. So they're leaning into it. And I mean, Becky's amazing at promos, and she's like a media darling, but I I just am so disappointed in WWE that this is where they've led her.
Well, if it's any, first of all, the only two matches that are announced as being a Hell in a Cell match are the main event and Hardy versus Orton.
All right, well, I was wrong.
No,
I
that's
thought could have
that's fine.
sworn I
I
read it
thought, but
somewhere, but
I thought so too. I thought that they were doing the Hell in a Cell thing as well. Um, and Becky Lynch, you as a natural babyface, you're absolutely right, and not only because of her background, her story. And you should go read. I know exactly what articles she's talking about. Head over to dailyddt.com and read Kristen's articles on Becky
and Fightful.
and
There's a good
Fightful.
one on Fightful too. Yep.
So go take a look at those, because give them a read, because she's absolutely right, and I've read those articles and I'm in complete agreement. And even above that, she has naturals. Like, she connects with the audience, and it's not something that you teach what she has.
Right.
It's just
Right.
it just comes out of her. She said it herself in an interview recently. She gets her scripts and she just works some words around so that it'll feel natural to her saying it. She sticks to her script, but most of the time she's so earnest. She's so she has her heart on her sleeve that when she speaks, it just resonates. It makes sense. It connects. You know what I think? I think they're actually going to do the double turn.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I do not see, but I'm using logic, not WWE logic. I'm using pure
Real
old,
logic?
yeah, just like normal human logic.
Right.
They've tried their best to get Becky for the audience to boo Becky. Hasn't worked.
No.
People have been cheering when Charlotte got beat up, when she lost, when she when she won the title at SummerSlam, she got booed.
Yep.
They tried the "You People,"
Yeah.
promo with Becky. You guys were never behind me. It
Right.
didn't work. I
Yeah.
think that they're going to just eat crow on this one and do a double turn.
I hope.
And-
I hope that WWE is like willing to just and be smart, and realize that their audience is smarter than that. I mean, that whole like the t-shirts, the boo, the woo, like that's amazing. Like I want those t-shirts.
Everybody wants
And
them. I'd have one too.
yeah, they're amazing t-shirts. And I hope that they do that. I hope they don't just try to ride the sea out and then the feud fizzles because, you know,
What?
Becky, both of them have so much potential. And I love when they pin any of the four horsewomen together,
Mm-hmm.
but like let it be natural and
It,
let them play their roles properly.
and it's special. It's special when it happens too.
Yeah, exactly.
Who do you got here?
Let's see. Honestly, I, so this is more of a want than a real prediction. My want is that Becky wins.
Of
That
course.
WWE gives us what we want.
I think everyone is in agreement here.
Yeah, and it could be like when she had her only other title, where it was like less than a month. She didn't hold it for very long. She lost it right away. It could be that case, but I hope she wins. If I'm doing WWE logic, Charlotte's probably gonna win, and they're probably gonna keep trying to roll with this forced turn. But my hope, crossing fingers, is that they go, let's throw some bones and let Becky win it, like she deserves.
Well,
So we'll see.
Here's what I think.
Yeah.
I'm with you. My deep desire would be for Becky Lynch to win. But let's say we continue again in my like I said, if we continue in the logic of a double turn, then they add more flame to this feud, right? You've extended it. Right now, if you look on the entirety of WWE right now, Kristen, what's your money match for Evolution? Because that's coming up. That's next.
I mean, I guess these two, unless something happens between Sasha and Bailey, but I doubt it.
But then again, it doesn't have this visceral feel. It hasn't had the build-up since SummerSlam that makes this feud so compelling. Because I like you believe that this is the match that the audience is going to be the most into for of the entire show. Maybe AJ and Joe if they decide to turn it up to 10. But the double turn, Charlotte retains because she belted Becky with a chair or some kind of shit like that.
Yeah.
She clearly becomes the heel. Everyone is pissed. You come back on SmackDown. Becky Lynch says this is not over, whatever. You feel the fire. She starts referring to herself as Becky Balboa again. You go into Evolution. Man, I'm talking about it and I have goosebumps. You go in, and then you head into Evolution with Charlotte, the bitch heel that we all love, and Becky Lynch, the babyface underdog hero, who fucking wins the title. So
I mean, that's our hope, right? I mean,
well, I mean, I honestly, out of this feud right now, I do not see Becky Lynch not winning the title. I don't see it happening, regardless of how they decide to script it. I don't see her not winning the title. But right here at Hell in a Cell, Becky loses, but there's a double turn, and we go into Evolution, and that's where Becky wins. And that's the bigger stage for her to win the title back, in my opinion.
No, you're right. And that would totally make more sense.
And I would mark out like I'm 12 years old, man.
Yeah.
Completely.
I'm in a household with roommates that don't watch wrestling, but I would totally like jump around
the
whole entire house and just mark out. And I think, okay, so I'm not saying that Charlotte doesn't deserve a title because she's obviously an amazing wrestler. But when I was doing research on these pieces about Becky and the forced heel turn and all that stuff, and looking at Charlotte's record, she has so many title reigns and so many firsts, and Becky has a few of those too. But it's insane to me to think that Becky has only held a title once, and it was the inaugural SmackDown Championship, for Women's Championship. That's insane that she has only held it once. And I'm not saying Charlotte doesn't deserve this, but I think Becky really deserves it more at this point. I think WWE needs to wake up and really give her the opportunity that she's proven she deserves. So,
And I agree. But
right.
honestly, I don't think it's happening at Hell in a Cell. I think they're saving it for Evolution. Whether she's forced heel or natural babyface, that's where I think this is heading.
You're probably right.
Next match. Oh boy, Hell in a Cell, Jeffrey Hardy versus Randall Orton. My question to you, Kristen, is
Yeah.
is Jeff Hardy going to die this Sunday?
Yeah, that's the problem with this match. I really want Jeffrey to win, but Randall is super vicious, especially when they're selling him as a heel. Randy Orton is just vicious, and he, despite his age and tenure, is like still really crazy athletic and still has all those skill sets to just destroy somebody. I'm scared for
honestly, he deserves to have a great, like, he's been fantastic since his heel turn. Like, he's been, it shows that it just lit a fire under him, because right now, if this Jeff Hardy thing didn't happen, we'd be his one of his last feuds would have been against Jinder Mahal, man. I mean, come on. You know, one of his major feuds.
This
So
is a weird feud.
Oh,
so weird feud.
So listen, Jeff said in an interview that he's preparing to do something that we will remember for a long time. I'm legitimately terrified of this match.
Yeah.
Because I believe Jeff Hardy is about to hang him up. I really think the scuttlebutt, the rumor, the innuendo, if you may,
yes,
has been that this is a bone that they're throwing to Jeff, because he's been wanting to do a Hell in a Cell match for a long time, and I think he's on the final legs of his career. I don't think his body can take it anymore, and I think he just went up to Vince and said, Vince, look, how long have I been asking for this match? Could you please just give it to me, and I'll make it worth your while. Honestly, I think that's what it is, and I think he promised Vince that he'd do something crazy, and I think that's what we're going to get.
All right. I guess I don't know Jeff Hardy, his career and all that well. But regardless if he asked for it or if it came naturally, if it was their idea, I think he deserves it.
For sure. But he legitimately has been saying, I think for the past 15 years, that he wants to do a Hell in a Cell match before he retires. Like, he's been saying that openly.
Right. And I think he would be a really good, his talent and his skill set would be good in Hell in a Cell. He's this high flyer. I think he would be really entertaining to watch. I think he'll do some dives that are probably going to be like hold your breath scary.
Oh man, just thinking about it.
I think it's going to be one of those where you're just waiting for him to crack something, but it's going to be really entertaining. I think this is going to be a really awesome fight. If they do it properly, if they give Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton the time and energy that they deserve, I think this is going to be a really awesome fight.
Yes, and I think that there's a definite possibility to leave Randy just be outlandishly vicious as well. Have all sorts of accoutrements under the ring that he can have access to. Sort of traps.
Yeah.
Who do you have here?
As much as I want Jeff Hardy to win, especially if it's going to be his last match, really, I'm going for Randy. I say he's just going to be too vicious.
Yeah. And I honestly think if this is not Jeff's final match, I think he's very, very low on gas at this point. Yeah. It makes sense for Randy to go over. I think Randy still all these years of being a very safe worker have paid off for him, because he can still go without a problem at this stage. Right. I think he's going over, because I think there's value in a heel Randy Orton for, let's say, AJ Styles, perhaps.
Yes.
Title or not, because let's not forget, his gimmick right now is, I'm going to strike down every wrestler that you love and that you care about. Well, right now on SmackDown, AJ's pretty much the man.
Yeah. I will always care about AJ.
We always care about AJ. But
He's a Georgia boy, and I'm a Georgia girl.
Oh,
so
well, there you go.
I will always care.
Before we talk about AJ, let's talk about the Raw Women's Championship.
Hell yeah.
Ronda Rousey, the champ, versus Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
I'm not psyched for this.
Me either.
They've done a very average job at this. And what was more, it was actually kind of comical to me over the past couple of weeks where in the build up to this feud, where suddenly, Alexa Bliss learned how to do an armbar, right? And, there's the last few matches where it's like, look, Ronda, I can do an armbar too.
Right.
And right now, I will always remember, or at least for a long time, the night she decided to pull it out to show off, and commentary's like, wait, is she pulling an armbar out on Natalya? And she could not apply it. It just looked like, I'm just going to put your arm here.
It's Natalya,
Yeah, exactly. If there's one wrestler where it's like, if there's one person where you can like, yeah, just slap it on, don't hold back. It's Natalya. She'll know how to protect herself. It'll be fine.
Right.
It looked so bad, so bad. So the story, I guess, here is that, well, Alexa knows how to do an armbar now, so.
Ugh, this feud. Obviously WWE has a problem booking Ronda. That's very clear. And that this wouldn't be the first time. I mean, they had a huge problem. They still do with Nia Jax. They have a problem booking these bigger, more athletic, stronger females, because there's, as far as big, there's not a lot of them.
Well, here's something I'm going to posit this onto you. Okay? Let's look at the status of the Raw women's roster right now.
Right.
Okay, Nia Jax, fine. And then once Rousey is done with Nia, who's left after that? Okay, maybe Ember Moon isn't. We know she's fantastic, but she's not up in that tier yet. Neither is Ruby Riott. So who do you have? You have Alexa, you have Bayley, you have Sasha.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like their bigger matches, the bigger matches that Ronda can have, are with the likes of Bayley and Sasha, who are incredible workers.
Right.
So are we in a transition period heading over to these bigger matches between Ronda and the Boston Hug Club? Whatever they're called. Connection.
So I'm sort of on this warpath of like petitioning for Shayna Baszler to come up. And part of that reasoning is because Ronda really needs somebody on that same level, whether they are against each other or on a team. And I feel like the Boston Hug Connection could possibly be the start of a tag team women's division for Raw. And what better teammates, and like what would be the most amazing match ever would be Sasha and Bayley versus Shayna and Ronda. Like, that would just sell me on anything. I would buy up all that merchandise and all that airtime. Just, here's my money. I feel like Ronda might be better if she was heel. And maybe that sounds weird, but they brought her in because they really wanted to sell her. And then she's sort of, as a face, falling flat. And there's a problem with finding her a decent heel to fight. Honestly, I think Ember could, with some time, actually be pretty good against Ronda Rousey.
Absolutely.
she was good against Shayna Baszler, and Shayna is pretty vicious herself.
Oh,
Um,
she was Asuka's final match in NXT, and it was
right,
fantastic. She had a
right.
great match. Ember Moon is one of the best workers in WWE, male or female,
Absolutely,
right now.
absolutely. But she's clearly a face at this point,
Oh
and
yeah,
so is Bailey, and so is Sasha. So I feel like if they could turn Ronda, which probably wouldn't be very hard, um, she would have better matches against faces because there are just more talented, more skilled faces than there are heels in that division right now.
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
it's so babyface heavy right now, and I agree. It'd be, and even if she did fight Shayna, that'd be fantastic as
yeah, it
well.
would.
That'd be
Oh,
really, really good.
that would be
But
really great.
but I think NXT needs Shayna right now because the women's division is being rebuilt. In my
Right.
opinion, I think they're going to keep her there for a while, and I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
But back to the match here. Who do you think?
Yes.
Look, I think Ronda retains. I don't think that's even.
Yeah, I
It
think this
doesn't.
is going to be like the most predictable match on the card. I'm just hoping that we don't get another 30-second match where it's just Bliss tapping out
Well, no,
immediately.
we won't because Alexa knows how to put on an
Oh.
armbar now. Remember?
Okay, I used to like really when Alexa first came up, I actually really did not like her. Because she sold that heel stuff so well and I just didn't like her. But like watching Alexa and kind of researching on her background, she can wrestle.
Sure.
And she's really good. And I
Mhm.
wish WWE would let her wrestle. Let her defend titles, let her defend or let her fight people in her own weight class, whatever you want to call it. Let her wrestle. Just let her wrestle.
I agree. I
Yeah.
100% agree. So I think we're both in agreement here that Alexa is going to lose.
Yeah.
All
Yep.
right.
Yep.
We are moving on to the second to last match on the card, or at least it probably won't be positioned that way, but you never know. AJ Styles, the WWE champion, the only title that matters, the one with the lineage,
Yes.
against Samoan Joseph.
It's so formal.
Yeah, I know. That's what he wears. That's what he's in his suit. You know, that's how he
Yeah,
introduces himself.
Joseph.
He says,
Yes.
I'm Samoan Joseph. I really dug their SummerSlam match.
Yes.
And, and I know a whole bunch of people saying, oh, they had so much better matches in TNA. And, oh, yeah. And they were like 12 years younger as well, kind of thing.
Right.
It was amazing to me how great a dramatic story they told. And it was a reminder to me that even in WWE, when WWE wants to let the wrestlers tell a good in-ring story, they have the people, the talent to do it, because that's exactly what they did there. Everything clicked right down to Joe grabbing the microphone and telling AJ's wife that I'll be your daddy kind of thing. Oh my God, the whole thing. My problem that I have with the build-up to this feud is that it took a nosedive. I liked what they did last week, where they sort of tangled it up in the, they sort of got at each other. AJ snuck in on no, he didn't sneak in, but he did attack Samoa Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really, really expecting Samoa Joe to end up in Gainesville, honestly. Like starting to stalk Wendy Styles, or just show up at the door, some kind of stupid shit like that. Instead, we got an empty arena promo from AJ, whose promos are really, really average unless he has someone to bounce off of.
Right.
And then the story time thing, which was okay because it was Samoa Joe, but man, it was overproduced and a little ridiculous, and he should have just went to the ring, sit in the middle of the ring, and read a story without all the goofy graphics. Anyway.
Right.
I'm fully expecting them to dial it up a little further than their match at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a really, really entertaining match. I think they showed that they still have the stuff to do it. They probably held a little back at SummerSlam, knowing that they were going to go into this match here. That their feud was being extended, and you know what? I think Samoa Joe's going to win.
Okay, all right. Your whole like Joe going to Gainesville, it's very Cape Fear.
Yes.
That's very like close to home. Oh my god, that's scary. That's crazy. I think what's interesting is that they both have been in the business for almost 2 decades, and they have a very long history together, and they know each other really well, which means they know each other's fighting styles. And whenever that is the case, the fights are amazing. The matches are amazing because they just know each other. This is going to be my match of the night.
Okay.
I think this is my match of the night. Like Bliss, Samoa Joe for me was somebody I instantly hated, and it was really easy for me to hate, and I loved to hate him. And then after a while, I grew to really appreciate Joe. And that actually took the help of my brother to be like, oh, lay off of him. Like, he's actually really good. Like, go watch some videos, you know? And I did. I researched him, and I got a lot of respect for him.
Yeah,
and
he's amazing.
Yes, and he is so natural at being, like, unlikable.
He's a lawyer. Did you know that? Or he trained to be a lawyer? He went to law school.
Really?
Yeah.
That is interesting. I did not know that.
I'd want him to take up my case anytime.
Right.
Defend me in court? You kidding me?
Right. I like that Joe's getting personal with the family. We've seen that in the past with other people. And I think it works here. I think AJ is so like he's always been very family focused, so I think it works. And I think that WWE has more fights down the road for these two scheduled. I think there's at least one more, if not 2 more pay-per-view fights between these two. My prediction is that Samoa Joe wins.
Yeah,
that's
me
my
too.
prediction. Yep.
Me too. And I've been talking about this on my usual reviews, my usual podcast, which you can find at tinyurl.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. That I plug. See, Samoa Joe needs a big win, right?
Yeah.
Because part of his character is being so convincing in what he does, right? He's a hitman, kind of thing where he's like, I'm coming to get you, and I'm going to get you. I'm going to get the results. That's all. And he's so credible in his promos. He's so amazing that you believe him, right?
Right.
But remember when he had his short program with Brock Lesnar last year? Mm-hmm. That he got the number 1 contendership. He beat Roman Reigns for it, and he said, Roman, I'm the only guy who can slay the beast, right? And he did that incredible promo on Paul Heyman, where he cornered him, and he whispered at him, and he kept saying, I'm going to beat you, and I'm going to beat you. He didn't beat him. Then he got injured. Shortly after that, he was out, comes back. He has a program against Roman upon return. He says, I'm going to beat you, Roman. You can't get the job done. This was after Greatest Royal Rumble. He didn't beat him. He didn't beat Seth Rollins for the IC title either. He hasn't won any big matches since coming back to WWE. So at some point, that does wear thin. Where you're like, look, he has to pick up a big win at some point. And I think this is it. I think this is what has to happen if you want Samoa Joe to remain a credible threat as far as heels go. Because right now, he and Randy Orton, now with the work that he's doing, they're the only 2 threatening heels on the SmackDown roster. Miz, he's a heel. He's a fantastic heel, but he's not threatening. No. Andrade Cien Almas, I think he has the potential to be there, but he still needs some character building. And Shinsuke is not a threatening heel either. He's straddling the line between being a vicious strike machine and just being a coward, a cheat,
Right.
And that's what we need right now. And I think that the one way to solidify this is for Samoa Joe to finally take the title off of AJ.
Right. And I think AJ has had the title long enough and enough times
He's
that
he's in the top 10 wrestlers, top 10 WWE title holders of all time, like as far as length goes.
right. So, I think it's time that, not to say that AJ hasn't worked for it, but I think it's time that we make him really work for that title again, to defend it and then to lose it and then have to go back to work to want to get that back.
I'm okay with that.
Right. And if that's the case, that they just want AJ to just be the guy that, built the house, that's fine. But I feel like he needs to really start working for it instead of just winning all these title matches. Like, give Samoa Joe the chance to be that heel champ that we miss, and then let AJ work for that title back.
And send AJ into a feud with Randy Orton, like I was saying previously. You don't at this point, with the way that they're booking Orton, you don't need the title. You don't need the title in the picture.
Yeah.
It'll just work naturally.
Right.
So we're both with Samoa Joe on this one.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
We agree.
Surprise.
Final match of the evening. A gentleman known as Roman Reigns. Perhaps you've heard of him. He's the Universal Champion. He'll be defending against Braun Strowman. And there is a special guest referee, one Nicholas Foley, who is involved in this match. Kristen, yes. I'm gonna let you start us off on this one.
Okay. Well, I think adding in Mick Foley is cool. He just came back, and as a guest ref, as we've seen with almost all guest refs, they always play some part in the match and the way it goes. So, will he get in the way? Will he get involved? Will he help? I read an article where the author had argued that he might actually help the crowd really like Roman more and dislike Braun more, because maybe Braun's going to get on Mick, because Mick is generally liked, so maybe Braun will get on Mick and that'll help diffuse the situation where like 99% of the crowd doesn't like Roman. I don't know that that'll happen, but I have a feeling that Mick is going to get involved somehow. Again, we're with this forced like turn where they're forcing Strowman to turn. That was such an awfully orchestrated. That was the most terrible thing I've ever seen, when they try to force him to be to turn heel. That was terrible. And then you have Roman, that no matter how hard they try, they can't really make him a face of the company. I think the two have really great chemistry. They've obviously fought a lot. If anyone can take Strowman on, it's going to be Roman. We had kind of brushed on this before with the previous matches, where usually WWE is not going to have a title holder lose the first pay-per-view match after getting that title.
And
so
especially especially not Roman, who's been chasing the title for eons.
Right. Against Lesnar.
Yeah, exactly. Who was never there.
Right. Just got that title from Lesnar. So my thought is Roman's not going to lose this title, not to Strowman.
Not this time.
No, not this time. Correct. I don't think at this pay-per-view that's going to happen. I do think that Braun is going to inflict a lot of damage. I think Mick is going to get involved somehow, but I still think they're going to try to really force the crowd to be into Roman, which, for the record, I am really into Roman, so you don't have to force me. And then to turn who essentially was a babyface, Strowman, into this heel they want him to be. He was a really good heel when he was with the Wyatt family.
Yeah.
When he wasn't doing much on the mic or being super awesome with Alexa Bliss, but now everybody loves him. So my prediction is that Roman retains, simply because he just got this after like how long of being on this campaign for the title.
Yep. And I agree. I'll say that I'm actually looking forward to this match, because Roman and Braun have had super fun matches consistently every time that they fought each other in the past. Right. I think they play off each other really, really well. It'll be fun. I'm a little more cynical, and I do believe that Mick Foley was added to the mix because WWE is on a campaign of let's get Roman to be cheered at all costs.
Right. Right.
And I completely agree with the assessment, with the idea that Foley is in there because Braun is probably going to shove him around. He's going to push him around. He's going to do something dastardly to Mick that is going to want where people are at least going to be conflicted. Maybe not outright boo or cheer necessarily for Roman, but be conflicted. It's like, wow, Braun is manhandling Mick Foley, like
Right.
lovable, fun Mick Foley.
Right.
You don't you don't do that. And you sort of wonder what he can do as well. You know, what Strowman can do to Foley, because man, Foley he's broken. Like he's not going to be taking. Like I can't see him bumping. You know. Like
I know.
I think he's more cyborg than anything else right now. The artificial hips and replacement this and that, and I mean, I don't see him taking any bumps, but I really do believe that he was added in there as a precaution, kind of like when they brought Braun out at SummerSlam, just to make sure, you know, that people would get excited and wouldn't boo the match out of the building, the main event, you know, between Roman and Lesnar. I kind of feel like it's the same tactic here. Let's bring in a really beloved figure, add him to the match, and let's have our forced heel dude do heel things to him to make sure that the audience knows that this guy sucks. So the other guy must not suck, you know?
Right.
But yeah, I think I don't see any other outcome than Roman Reigns winning the title unless they shock and surprise us and do not finish the pay-per-view with this match.
Okay.
If, let's say, because WWE recently, they don't like finishing their pay-per-views with necessarily the bad guy winning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's happened.
Right.
WrestleMania. You know?
Yeah. Right.
But they don't like if I feel like a title change would happen if it's lower on the card, where it doesn't finish on a sour note where the baby face loses, you know, despite what you may feel about Roman. But I honestly, with the way they've been building it, I don't think it'll be anything else than the main event.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel for Strowman a little bit, because I feel like they should really give him something else other than Roman and Lesnar.
It's coming. It's on its way. But I also think they're going to stretch this out into Survivor Series, and there's going to be a Team Roman versus Team Braun match.
For sure.
And then we're going to start speculating on who the fourth member is going to be. Who's going to be the fourth member of the Shield, basically, and who's going to be the fourth member of the Dogs of War. Which I kind of like that. You know, that Braun called his little trio like that, the Dogs of War. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting name.
It's a Shakespearean reference.
Right.
And I kind of want Braun to play the lead role in Hamlet now.
Oh, that would be an interesting cast.
Yeah, that'd be very interesting.
I'd watch that.
So those were our predictions. We went through it all. I think it's going to be... This show has the potential... I don't know what you think, Kristen. I think it has the potential to surprise us. Mm-hmm. Just as it has the potential to be a bit of a downer as well. But I think that we have a couple of potentially really great matches. I agree with you that AJ Styles and Samoa Joe is probably going to be match of the night. It has the potential to be one of WWE's matches of the year. Mm-hmm. And look, there's still a lot of good stuff. I think we could be surprised.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the case with WWE pay-per-views is that there's always a chance you're going to be super disappointed, but there is a chance that something cool will happen. So we just got to cross our fingers and hope. I mean, the match card looks pretty solid. So
I mean,
think
the pre-show is going to start with Coach, right? It can only go up from there.
maybe that was their point, right? Let's put our Patsy in.
Let's put Coach in a Tunga.
Oh,
Let the audience deal with them for an hour. They'll eat anything up after that.
ugh.
Chris,
I'm so surprised Coach still has a job
well,
without editorializing. That's just my opinion.
you wonder what kind of dirt he has on Vince. Kristen, where can people find you on the internet?
On the interwebs, I'm all over the place, but I post everything I ever write ever, and brag about it on Twitter, and that's at Kristen Ashly. All my stuff is posted there, so if you ever just want to check out an article, go for it. I am going to sell one article pretty hard, and that is on dailyddt.com. I wrote an article comparing 13 of women in WWE currently wrestling. I matched them to comic book heroes and villain counterparts. Ooh. It was like one of my favorite things ever to write, so check that out.
Definitely check that out.
Yeah.
And you know what? I might even be a cool guy and toss a link in the description of this YouTube video so that people. Yeah, you owe me one. Kristen, thank you. Honestly, thank you so much for accepting the invitation, joining me. It was a lot of fun. I don't know why you don't do podcasts more recently, more often. This was a lot of fun. It worked really, really well.
You're kind. Thank you for having me. And it was fun talking.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely do it again sometime. And guys, you know where to find me, tinyurl.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. That's the YouTube channel. Find me on Twitter at Mr. Warren Hayes. And on FightfulSelect.com, if you become a member for as low as $5 a month, you can get all the extra Warren Hayes content you want, plus more. So go check that out. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you enjoy Hell in a Cell.